Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times, back after a Thanksgiving break. It's Monday, December the 1st. News is slow this morning, and I've got to begin with an apology. We're taping this Monday morning because of an obligation I had this afternoon, so we may be again behind the news. This weekend was Black Friday weekend, the big start of the Christmas shopping season, and uniformly everybody says shopping was down both in stores and online. I got dragooned into going on a shopping trip with my wife Saturday and actually went into the Apple store in West Little Rock, and there were lots of clerks standing around willing to help you, which is some indication of a slight drop in traffic. I have my own theory. My own wife, Ellen, shops year-round online, and the packages never stop coming. I think by the time Black Friday comes around, she's already got her shopping done. That's my take on it anyway. Elsewhere, I think the big news in the next week is going to be quite a bit of hubbub about the vote next Tuesday in Fayetteville on the referendum on its civil rights ordinance. It protects all sorts of people of different classes, but it's controversial because it would provide some measure of protection for gay people. There's a big conservative church group, the Family Research Council, labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, is going to gather pastors in Fayetteville tomorrow, and it pretty clearly looks like it's a pep rally to get churches organized to fight this amendment. Ironically, this appears at the same time there was a big national story in the New York Times Saturday about the Mississippi State football team, but about what a wonderful place Starkville, Mississippi had become. Also home to land-grant university, also home to a big ag school like the U of A, but now gaining a reputation for progressivity, for high-tech business development, and yes, for a resolution endorsing a non-discrimination against gay people. Will Fayetteville turn out as good as Starkville? Hard to say. Not if it's left up to Republican legislators. 18 of them have signed a letter to David Gerhardt, the chancellor of the University of Arkansas, saying he should keep his mouth shut rather than talking about his opposition to the Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce resolution that opposes the civil rights ordinance in Fayetteville. I think it's a dangerous business when legislators essentially threaten retribution against a public employee for speaking his mind. We do have a First Amendment as well as a Second Amendment in the United States. Also in the news over the long weekend came a report that the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce is going to blow life into a 501c3 nonprofit organization and hire a former Republican Party communications director to educate people about tort reform. They don't call it tort reform, they call it civil justice reform. What they really mean is a measure to make it harder for people to sue for damages and win claims against corporations who are negligent. We haven't quite yet figured out a message to counter civil justice reform just yet. What this means by using a 501c3, though, is that they'll get a tax deduction, corporations will, for giving money to this person that's going to try and help them, protect them from lawsuits. In other words, you, the taxpayer, will subsidize corporations to get more protection against lawsuits. That's the way the world works these days. 'Tis the Christmas season. Both the Freethinkers and the people who favor a more religious Christmas have their displays up on the Capitol grounds, a creche for the Christians and the solstice display for the Freethinkers. I've got a good piece of news about something I mentioned last week. Lucy's Place, a shelter for gay kids, homeless gay kids, started a fundraising campaign I mentioned last week in response to the effort by the Duggars to beat the Fayetteville Civil Rights Ordinance. The Duggars contributed $10,000, you may remember, to beat the Civil Rights Ordinance in Fayetteville. Well, a bunch of people got together online and they've raised $25,000 over the Thanksgiving Day weekend to help homeless gay kids, and I think that is something to be thankful about. Speaking of the Duggars, they're the subject of a humorous story in the New Yorker. That's the big time, I figure, when you make the Shouts and Murmurs column in the New Yorker. It's about a reputed Duggars sex manual. You'll just have to read it to see what it's all about. We've got news on the blog today of a Kentucky TV station's visit to the former Dogpatch USA theme park in Marble Falls, Arkansas, up in the Ozarks. You may remember the comic strip-based park that shut down a couple of decades ago. Well, a man who's made a fortune selling pet food bowls is going to restore it as a place for artisans and Ozark culture, he says. He's going to let people take a tour of the place this weekend to get an idea of past glory and what he has in mind for the future. Finally, the reason I'm going to be away this afternoon is there's a funeral this afternoon for Doug Smith. Longtime readers of the Arkansas Times will remember him as the Words columnist, a great reporter and an editorial writer. He's been a force in Arkansas journalism for a half-century. He died Wednesday night of heart disease. We're going to miss him, and I hope we're going to have a few good words to say about him this afternoon. That's all for me today. I'll be back tomorrow.